Hello! Today we're going to make ourselves a super healthy medicinal sauerkraut. Now I know most of you people watching will know that sauerkraut's already quite healthy, but the reason it's going to be medicinal and super healthy is because today we're going to stick some onion in it and a little bit of garlic. So let's get started.
Cut the heads of cabbage into quarters, and also remember to cut the cores out of each quarter and set those aside for use later on, as they'll be useful when we come to seal the sauerkraut.
Okay, so we've quartered these, and before I shred, I'm just going to take the outer leaf from each one, just as a little lid for later. It's going to help us later on, just like we did with those quarters. And once you've got your cabbage ready, just start shredding these with a knife. I try and get them quite thin if I can. I don't know if you can see very well. It doesn't strictly matter how thin it is because you're just creating surface area, but I find the thinner you make it, the more strong the fermentation you get. Okay, so the cabbage done now. We're just going to chop the onion in there. Same sort of chopping system as your cabbage. Nice round rings.
The reason onion is such a medicinal addition to sauerkraut is because fermentation has been shown to increase the antioxidant potential that already exists in the onion, making it a really healthy way to have it.
Okay, just finishing the onion now. And it's actually quite a strong onion. I'm getting just a tad teary, but that's a good thing, because actually the stronger the onion is, then the higher and better medicinal properties it has. It tends to have more antioxidants and more healing power the stronger it is. So that's a good sign when you've got a strong onion. So take solace in that. So right, we're going to just start with a couple of cloves of garlic here. I've lost one there. I like to give the garlic a good crush before I chop it. It just makes it a bit more pungent. Makes it a bit easier to chop as well.
Add the chopped garlic to the bowl, and finally grab a couple of carrots, grate them on a medium grate, and throw them in a bowl as well.
Okay, once you've got all your ingredients in there, I'm using about a kilogram to a kilogram and a half of vegetables there. For that I'd use about a tablespoonish of sea salt, maybe a tad more, and that'll literally do it for that amount. So now what you want to do is you want to start to mix all this in a little bit. Now if you're like me and you've overfilled the bowl slightly, that's fine. Just kind of work it in, and as you do it, you start crushing down the vegetables.
Crushing the cabbage is a really important part of the sauerkraut making process. It starts to break down the cell walls, making it easier for the lactic acid bacteria that live in the cabbage to get in there and start fermenting the vegetables. It also helps the salt draw out the moisture and the water from the cabbage to create a really good brine for the sauerkraut.
Okay, so I've been crushing this now for about 5 minutes, and we've got the cabbage and that starting to look a bit wet and glistening and starting to soften a little bit. So now we know it's had enough of the cell wall broken down and it's starting to release some liquid, so it's a good time to leave it now for about half an hour to an hour just to draw out, the salt to draw out a bit more liquid and create a nice brine now. So we'll leave that for a bit and come back to it later.
Leave the mixture to rest for a half hour to an hour. This will allow the salt to continue to draw out more water from the cabbage by osmosis. This is also a good time to go ahead and get your sauerkraut container and sterilize it with some boiling water. This will help keep it clean and keep your sauerkraut free of molds later on. Once the mixture is ready, start packing it into the jar and press the mixture down hard with your fist. The idea is to get rid of any air bubbles that might be in the sauerkraut mixture and encourage the brine to rise up and cover that mixture. That brine being over the mixture is what's going to encourage an anaerobic environment in there, which is going to allow the fermentation process to occur, and it's going to discourage undesirable bacteria and molds and other microbes. Once you've filled it up to the top and you've got a good amount of brine covering all the sauerkraut mixture, get one of the leaves that we set aside from earlier and one or two of the cores and use those to create a lid to keep the mixture submerged under the brine. That way when you shut it, it won't rise up and you'll keep your sauerkraut well protected.
So here we have our finished, more or less, bottle of sauerkraut with onion, medicinal onion and garlic inside. and obviously you've got it all submerged in there. Now, one of the other reasons I use red cabbage and make it pink is you know it's going to be ready when it goes this kind of rich pink, dark fermented color like that. So it's a good way to keep track of whether your sauerkraut's fermenting properly and when it's ready for you. So leave that somewhere out of the sunlight for about 2 weeks or so, and that should be just right, but you might even be able to have it as early as 5 days. Again, let the color guide your choice, and good luck out there.